But today, I want to talk about inner space. What lies on your shoulders? Sitting on your shoulder right now is the most complex object known in the universe. And it only uses 20 watts of power. Just 20 watts of power, your brain. So when someone calls you a dim bulb, that's a compliment. And so now President Barack Obama last year and the European Union announced the Brain Initiative. $1 billion will go to giving a map of the entire brain. In the future, you will have 2 discs. You will have a genome of all the genes in your body. And you will have the connectome of all the pathways of your mind, including your memories, your emotions, your sensations, 2 discs. And then the question is, if you die and your discs live on, your genome, your connectome, did you really die? Can you live forever? Well, to paraphrase Bill Clinton, it all depends on how you define you. If you are wetware of the brain, and software of the mind. Software of the mind and wetware of the brain. If that is you, then when you die, that's it. But if your genome and your connectome live on forever, then there's a possibility of immortality. So let's talk about my book. When I was a child, I used to experiment on telepathy, reading minds, telekinesis, moving objects with the mind, recording memories. I thought about recording a dream. Is it possible to make a videotape of a dream? Well, when I was a child, I did experiments on telepathy, trying really hard to read people's minds. Well, let me tell you that after all these experiments, I finally concluded that maybe true telepaths walk the surface of the earth, but I wasn't one of them. Today we have modern physics, and physics gives us all of the above. We can now read minds. We can now move objects with the mind. We can now record memories, and we can now photograph a dream. These have all been done in the laboratory. But let's first say a thing about Hollywood movies. Hollywood, of course, talks about telepathy all the time. And it also talks about recording memories. One day, maybe we'll be able to upload a memory of our existence, like in the movie The Matrix. Let me ask you a question. Late at night, just before you go to bed, have you ever had that weird sensation that maybe just like in The Matrix, reality is an illusion? Ever had that feeling? Ever had that feeling late at night that maybe you're the only one in the universe? Everything else is a fake? Ever had that? Raise your hand if you've ever had that feeling. Well, you're crazy. You think you're the only one in the universe? Give me a break. You see,
No, not that.
I'm the only one in the universe. I'm in bed right now. I'm just about to go to sleep, dreaming that I'm sitting in front of you here in Washington, D.C. Well, The Matrix, can we upload memories? And the answer is yes. Last year at Wake Forest University, for the first time in history, we recorded a memory and uploaded a memory. And then here is the former governor of California having his memory uploaded, the memory of being married to Sharon Stone. Perhaps this one day will come true. And then Iron Man. Is it possible that we can connect the mind to an exoskeleton? And the answer is yes. I'll show pictures of how the military is already connecting the human brain to a mechanical exoskeleton. And then, if that's true, can we build replicas of ourselves that are perfect, superhuman, guide them mentally? This could be the future of the space program. Our astronauts of the future may be robots robots controlled by astronauts who are sitting in their hot tub in their living room, mentally controlling robots in outer space. And then telekinesis, the power to move objects with the mind. We can now do this in the laboratory. In the movie Carrie, we had this unfortunate high school kid who destroyed her entire high school in revenge. What's the lesson here? The lesson here is never take a true telekinetic to the senior prom. And then living forever. Hollywood has given us the idea that maybe we can live forever as a computer program. Every kid knows that when Superman's home planet blew up, Superman's father died. But in the latest Superman movie, Superman's father did not die. He was encoded in a computer program that operates a hologram of Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is Superman's father brought back to life because he is a computer program animated by a hologram. Is that possible? And we have the new Johnny Depp movie, Transcendence. Is it possible to live inside a computer? And is it possible one day to separate the mind from the body? The answer to all of the above is yes. So let's talk about the mind. Using MRI scans, we can see blood flow in the brain. We can see how thoughts go ricocheting inside our brain like a ping pong ball. On the left is your brain when it tells the truth. Nothing much happens. Blood flow is normal when you tell the truth. But when you tell a lie, yes. When you tell a lie, first you have to know the truth. Then you have to create the lie. Then you have to calculate the consistency of the lie with all the lies you've been telling all these years. That's a lot of brain power. Your brain lights up like a Christmas tree on the right. And then the brain itself. We now know that the back part of the brain is the oldest part of the brain. It's called the reptilian brain. It governs balance. If you're in a car accident and you get whiplash, the first thing you lose is your sense of balance. Then the center part of the brain is the monkey brain, the emotional brain. Emotions are located here. And then the front part of the brain. The front part of the brain is the thinking brain, the last part of the brain to develop. Babies are born with the reptilian brain developed. As children become adolescents, the emotional brain develops. And as teenagers become adults, finally the front part of the brain develops. We see this now with blood flows. This means that old wives' tales can all be tested now. It's one old wives' tale that every parent here in this audience knows. Every parent knows that teenagers suffer from brain damage. It's true. You can see it in brain scans. Teenagers' frontal lobe is not fully developed. So it's absolutely true that you're arguing with a brain-damaged person tonight, talking to a teenager. Another old wives' tale. It's an old wives' tale that when a man talks to a pretty girl, he starts to act stupid. It's true. You can show that when a man talks to a pretty girl, blood drains from the prefrontal cortex. And the man becomes mentally retarded when he speaks to a pretty girl. It's true. You can see that in blood flows. And if you were to cut the brain in half, you have a left brain and a right brain. Now, in epileptics, we have to sometimes cut the left brain and the right brain away from each other in order to save these epileptics. And then bizarre things begin to happen. When you cut the left brain and the right brain and separate them, two personalities begin to develop. It's an amazing thing. Two people living in the same brain. In one person, for example, He was an atheist in his left brain, and he was a believer in the right brain. Can you imagine that? And both brains fight for control of the hand. Literally fight for control. In the future, we will probably find one person whose left brain is Republican and his right brain is Democrat. And when he starts to vote in the voting booth, he's going to struggle. The left hand and the right hand will struggle in the voting booth to decide which way to vote. Now, in the 1950s, this is how we analyzed the brain. It was awkward, painful, very awkward. Today, it is sexy. We now have headbands that can read your thoughts. On the upper right, in Japan, at parties, they give out these headbands at parties. They have two ears. When you talk to someone who's interesting, your ears go up like this. And when you talk to someone who's boring, they go like, ee, like that. So in Japan, you will always know if you're going to go home alone at night. And in my class, I will make sure that my students wear these headbands. And so I can see who's going to get an A and who's going to flunk. A, F, F, F. A, F, F, F. I can see this because you can see this by looking at the ears. And the left, Silicon Valley is looking at this. Maybe one day the mouse will disappear. Maybe one day you won't need your finger anymore. One day you will simply think. You will think and mentally control things around you. Madison Avenue is thinking about this. An ad campaign to make it easy. So for you to walk into a room and mentally control everything around you. Mentally turn on the lights. Mentally turn on the TV. Mentally type. Mentally do everything without ever touching a computer screen. And Stephen Hawking, my colleague, is totally paralyzed. But the next time you see him on television, look at his right glass. In his right glass, it's a chip. That chip receives radio from his brain, connects his brain to a laptop, and he communicates mentally. Stephen now communicates mentally with the outside world. And we can now connect the brain directly to a computer. This man is totally paralyzed. Totally paralyzed. He cannot scratch his nose. He cannot talk. We've connected him to a laptop computer and allowed him to then control everything around him. He can now surf the web, read email, write email, control his wheelchair, operate household appliances, do crossword puzzles, and he is totally paralyzed. Next is to connect a woman who's totally paralyzed to a mechanical arm. Mentally, she can now control mechanical arms, and she is totally paralyzed. The military is now interested because there are thousands of wounded veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan with shattered spinal cords, missing arms, missing legs. We can now connect them to mechanical arms that are the most advanced in the world. These mechanical arms can pick up an A. They can high five. They can fist bump. Anything you can do with your hands, they can also do. And now, complete exoskeletons. It's now possible to connect the mind directly to an exoskeleton so that you will have superpowers. And then you can now connect the mind to a robot. This could be the future of the space program. One day, astronauts, robots, will go to the moon, guided by astronauts who are sitting in their hot tub in their living room, mentally controlling robots in outer space. This could also be the future of education. This is a robot that attends class even if you are sick. If you are sick, You see the teacher inside your laptop, and the teacher sees you inside your surrogate or your avatar. Isn't the future wonderful? We'll never be able to play hooky ever again in the future. Your teacher will always know where you are because your image will be in your surrogate. And we can now connect the mind directly to the internet. This is the future of the internet. We will put the entire internet inside your contact lens. And who were the first people to buy internet contact lenses? College students taking final examinations. They will blink and see all the answers to the exam in their contact lens. And who's the next person to buy internet contact lenses? Vice President Joe Biden. So he never says anything goofy again on television. Joe Biden will always know what to say. And who else will buy internet contact lenses? The military. The military wants GIs to have instantaneous information about the battlefield. And so you see that in the future, we will live in the matrix. The military, tourists, politicians, actors, actresses, they will blink, and see the entire internet right in their contact lens. And so surrogates may one day explore the universe using external prosthetics that are cybernetic. And then we can now record memories. Last year, for the first time in world history, we were able to record a memory and play it back into a mouse. A mouse learned how to sip water from a bottle. We recorded the impulses in the hippocampus of the brain. The hippocampus is about that big. It records memory in the brain. Scientists recorded the image, the impulses, and then reinserted the memory back into the mouse, and bingo, the mouse remembered instantly. This is the future. An artificial brain pacemaker. Next, we're going to do with monkeys, record memories of monkeys and reinsert them into the mind. And after that, Alzheimer's patients. We want a brain pacemaker for Alzheimer's patients so that you'll push a button and immediately know who you are, where you live, and who your children are. A brain pacemaker. And after that, maybe one day you will push a button and upload the vacation you never had. One day students may push a button and upload calculus and all the courses they flunked in college. On the upper right is the world's first brain pacemaker. And it is now possible to record a thought, to photograph a thought. This is an MRI scan. You scan the brain, create 30,000 dots. 30,000 dots of blood flow in the brain. A computer analyzes this and then creates a picture. These are the first pictures ever taken of a thought. On the upper left is Steve Martin. Next to it is the image of Steve Martin as seen through a computer analyzing blood flow inside the human brain. The pictures are not perfect because we are talking about 30,000 dots. Not bad. A typical picture may have 100,000 dots. But for 30,000 dots, this is what you can now reconstruct. Meaning that in the future, you may push a button and see the dream that you had last night. We may be able to, in fact, we already have, taken the first pictures of a dream. And so the frontiers of this technology are incredible. Mental illness, one of the greatest afflictions of humanity. We are now taking brain scans of people who are mentally ill and understanding how mental illness operates. Also, figures like Joan of Arc. Is it possible to explain behavior of the past, including super geniuses? This man can take one helicopter ride over Manhattan and draw the entire Manhattan skyline from memory. Try that tonight. Try to draw the entire skyline of Washington, D.C. from memory. This guy can do it. And we are now brainscanning these people to understand the nature of genius, super genius. And let me end on one last note. In my book, I mentioned the fact that when I was a child, one of my role models was Albert Einstein. And my favorite Einstein story is this. When Einstein was an old man, he was tired of giving the same talk over and over again. So one day, his chauffeur came up to him, and the chauffeur said, "Professor, I'm really a part-time actor. I've heard your speech so many times, I've memorized it. So why don't we switch places? I will put on a mustache. I will put on a wig. I will be the great Einstein. You can put on my hat and uniform and be my chauffeur." So Einstein loved the joke, so they switched places. This went along famously until one day, a mathematician in the back asked a very difficult question. And Einstein thought, oh, the game is up. But then the chauffeur said, that question is so elementary that even my chauffeur here can answer it for you. Thank you very much. It's been a great audience. And I just want to say that at 5 o'clock, I'll be signing books. I'll be autographing copies of my books. And after I autograph them, you can go on eBay and make money. Autographed books are actually worth something, so you can make some money today. So thank you very much. Thank you.